Hey everyone and welcome to the channel. In this video I'll be replacing the aftermarket foot pegs with some original ones on this 2001 Kawasaki ZX9R Ninja. So why would I be replacing these aftermarket ones? There's a few reasons. One of them being I just prefer the stock ones. Another reason is when these get wet they are very slippery and that's unsafe. The original ones are rubber, which means they grip better. And one of the last reasons is because these are solid, which means they don't absorb the vibrations as well. The original rubber ones are a little bit squishy, which will help with grip and stop the vibrations. So let's get into it. The first thing we want to do is remove this little circlip here. If you don't have any circlip pliers, you could put a screwdriver in there and pry it off, but I'd rather use the correct tools. I just need to be really careful that I don't drop this in the dirt, because then I'll never find it again. So I'm going to spin it around to a point where I can grab it. This is kind of difficult with a camera in the way. So that's the incorrect way to use circlip pliers, but I just pulled it off because the exhaust is getting in the way. But it worked, so that's fine. Now let's not lose that. Now what we want to do is push this pin forwards so it'll come out. Once that pin's pushed out, the whole foot peg will pull off. Take note of how that spring is in there. It'll have to go back in the same way. Now sometimes you can push these pins and they'll come out. Unfortunately for me it's not, so I'll just have to give it a smack with something. Or if you can get something under this side, you can pull it out. Now the pin's removed, the foot peg will just pull out. Now I want to mention the right side is the most difficult because we have the exhaust in the way. The left side will be much easier. Now before we put that other foot peg on, what I recommend doing is cleaning up the little pin. Just use a rag to clean it up a little bit. And to make sure it slides in nicely, put a little bit of grease on it. I've got a little bit of wheel bearing grease, so I'm just going to smear it on to help lube it up. Now it's good to go back in. I also recommend putting a little bit of grease in here to help the foot peg swing easier. Wipe up any excess with a rag. Now there's two sides to choose from. If you're not sure, don't worry. On the bottom it'll either have an R or an L. R means right, so of course it goes in like that. If for some reason yours doesn't have the markings, just put one in and see if it looks right. Well, as you can see, the foot peg shouldn't be facing backwards, so we know that's the left side. So now we want to put the spring back in, so now we can put it back together. Remember how the spring goes? Then the pin slides in. And look at that. That already moves so much better. Now it's time to put our little circlip in. So we can just push that on. And that's one side successfully done. Now we can do the left side. And since there's no exhaust in our way, this will be so much easier. So let's get it done. First we remove the circlip. Then we push the pin out. Even that was easier. Hold on, I've lost the spring. Hopefully that was caught on camera so I can find out where it went. Well, that's a relief. Now we can clean up the pin. Then add our grease. Then add our grease in here. Now we can put it back together. And finally, we can put the little clip back on. All done. And that's how you replace the foot pegs on a ZX9R Ninja. So I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. Please consider liking and subscribing.